We're live. Okay. All right. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared. It is, January 25th, 2023. We're almost at the end of January. It's kind of hard to believe the month has passed so quickly, but we're kind of in midweek review at the moment as I shift into some of our discussion for today. All in all, the SPX is holding within its expected move boundary. I would argue that most of the volatility we saw on Monday is what the market priced, as far as how high to kind of expect that rally. Most people would have looked at something like a 40-40 type level, and then of course just hitting some of the extremes at maybe 40-50, a slight breach of the expected move for the week. And as we saw yesterday, not necessarily weakness in the market, but also not that continuation strength. Most of the energy kind of came on Friday and Monday, and those were very opportunistic trend type sessions where you kind of just look for the signals in the morning and some of the 5-minute trends to confirm throughout the day. So the question now is, we're in the midst of earnings, and a lot of our after hours and pre-market activity is going to be quite volatile, especially when we have certain stocks reporting. The one in focus, of course, today was Microsoft, or is Microsoft. And as we saw throughout its earnings reaction, started off with sort of lackluster numbers. I would argue that the actual estimates were pretty were slight beats and slight misses, so a mix overall, but the reaction, of course, was to the upside. And as we know, one of the things that gives us a little bit of edge when playing earnings is knowing what the expected move is. Microsoft closed approximately at about 242 per share. And as we look at the option market from yesterday, we can kind of just shift back our time frame by 1 day. We know that the option market was pricing about a $12 move. So regardless of direction, regardless of the actual earnings themselves, if you wanted to play sort of the after hours movement, knowing that you had enough room, and of course playing towards the momentum to the upside, would at the very least give you an idea of what the target is. And I think that's really important because in the after hours, things are quite spready. They're also quite volatile. And just knowing sort of the place you're trying to go can help you out, even if your entry maybe is a little bit later, or you're just playing some of that final up thrust into some of those higher targets. So as we saw, at 242.50, we look at the straddles yesterday, the price at about $12. And as we saw in the actual reaction, the top end of that move sort of died out at about 255, plus or minus, a dollar. That's about $12 of movement from that 242 close. So for the most part, Microsoft moved the way the option market expected, which is not necessarily predicting the direction, but seeing that move to the upside and then moving an equivalent $12 before topping out in this case. Now, what's interesting about this particular earnings is the conference call occurred approximately 1 hour later, 1 hour, 25 minutes later. And what we're seeing is relatively weak guidance. There's been a slowdown in some of the projections for some of the cloud platform growth. there's also just not as much enthusiasm about some of the future projections for the company. And while that isn't necessarily always the most bearish reaction, it is something that the market is quite sensitive to right now, because once again, the theme that is starting to creep into this market slowly is the idea that we may be entering into a recession in the next couple of years. So as we're seeing these mega market cap names start to report, knowing what their projections look like, knowing sort of what they expect for 2023, and starting to look ahead at where are going to be some of the growth opportunities versus where are the slowdowns. Those are both, from a earnings perspective, a little bit of a bullish and bearish thesis moving forward. But as you can see, this is not really just about Microsoft. It's also about Amazon. You think about the type of sympathy that these two companies have in regards to their cloud platforms. Microsoft has the Azure platform, and then Amazon has AWS, Amazon Web Services. And for the most part, they're going to move a little bit in tandem, especially in some of these sort of binary events. Amazon saw a rally, and Amazon's not really a tech stock. It's more of a consumer discretionary. So we can't really claim that it's some sort of money flow going into that particular sector. They technically are separate. What we're seeing is sympathy. We're seeing sort of the idea of a repricing in both of these companies, along with the fact that these names will very likely report very similar types of estimates, and especially outlook, future outlook and growth projections for 2023. So just some caveat to what we're seeing this morning. There is a little bit of pre-market weakness, but it's not only coming from one stock. Not only did this stock in particular report kind of poorly on its earnings call, but it's affecting other names, all of which are the movers and shakers of the S&P. And you could argue that, Apple and Microsoft are the two tech giants. It's not to say that Apple is really moving the same as Microsoft, but weakness in Microsoft tends to lead to a little bit of weakness in Apple, especially in some of the lower volume periods. So our after hours in Apple is not necessarily collapsing the previous session, but we are seeing that pullback from a pretty strong session yesterday. So as I mentioned, though, let's take a look at some ways to take advantage of earnings. And the one that I want to focus on today is going to be the earnings ratio or the earnings probability spread. Different people kind of name them different things, but what's important about this is based on what we talked about yesterday. And as we were talking about Netflix yesterday, kind of using a historical example, I wanted to show the construction using a stock like Netflix. So as I mentioned yesterday, right before Netflix reported earnings, make sure that stays on Netflix, market overall didn't know bullish or bearish. We know as of now, but we know the future. But in general, the market only knew really the volatility, which, as we mentioned yesterday, was plus or minus about $30 to $35. So if you're interested in playing a stock like Netflix and you have a thesis about the direction, one of the things that we talked about yesterday was how expensive it can be to play earnings. For one, if you're just bullish or just bearish, buying things like calls and puts are naturally going to be very expensive. The implied volatility increases right into the earnings event. And then even if you get the direction right, if it's not really a strong beat inside of that earnings series, for the most part, you're going to be risking an equivalent amount to what you might even potentially make. You know, something like a call, for example, we looked at maybe a 325. These were about $1,600 as of Monday or Tuesday. Knowing that Netflix beat, even if you had gotten that direction right, by Friday, the volatility started to come out of Netflix. And even though you were correct in your direction, for the most part, you probably only made anywhere from 20 to 50%, depending on when you closed. Because remember, volatility contracts the entire session. So in the morning, some of that volatility might have remained, but Netflix also wasn't as elevated as it was near the end of the day. You know, it actually rallied a bit throughout the session. So it's really difficult to manage that type of volatility because for the most part, you have no control. Some people look at things like setting up verticals, you know, just as a way to reduce the cost. And for the most part, that is perfectly fine. If you are bullish, for example, and you're looking at, let's say, 325, just to kind of get you that at the money pricing, but you also think it's going to move to the upside, you know that the market expects about a $30 move. So you can go out there and you can do something like sell a 350 call, turning this into a $25 wide call vertical or debit call vertical. You're long, but you're also selling a little bit of that out of the money premium in order to not only reduce the cost, but you're also going to define your profit. You know roughly what target you're trying to hit. And once again, this is the shortest term series, so you can do this and it can become a profitable spread. You know, as I am showing sort of the after effects of that, something that is opened at around $10 per spread could potentially be closed anywhere from $15 to $20 on the day that Netflix, you know, reports earnings. So it's still profitable. It's not to say that it's not a winner, but once again, you need to know the direction. And when you think about the binary nature of earnings, not really knowing which side of the market is going to swing, it kind of feels like an all or nothing bet. If the Netflix earnings turned out to be bearish, for the most part, that vertical will be worthless. So something that costs $10 has the potential to make 15, 20, even a really strong sort of earnings move might, you know, kind of breach into some of those really high profitable regions, but you've defined your reward by lowering your risk. And the worst case scenario, of course, is that you get the direction wrong. At that point, you're going to essentially lose everything that you paid for the debit spread. So in that synopsis, there needs to be something that is relatively cheap to enter, but still gives you a directional exposure. And this is one way you can approach it. So once again, I'm going to back up to like Tuesday, right before Netflix's earnings. Let's say you're bullish. You want to play to the upside, and yet you know what the expected move is. You know where the option market is pricing the volatility. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing that I did before. I'm going to buy a 325 call. I'm also going to sell a 350. So I've made the same vertical, same idea, same spread. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell against this vertical. Essentially, I'm going to reduce the entry cost even more by starting to put some premium or credit spreads against the vertical. And the way you do this is you start to create a ratio type construction. So in this case, I'm not just going to sell one, I'm going to sell three 350s. So if I just stop here, what you'll notice is this is actually a credit to open. Essentially, you're going to be taking in a credit if you were to place this order as is. And we'll look at the risk profile in just a moment so you can understand what sort of reward you're trying to gain. But what we have right here is both a vertical, a $25 wide vertical, and we've also sold two additional 350 calls. So we're obviously naked or risky in the 350 and above region. That's when our risk starts to become unlimited or undefined. So what do we want to do? We want to close that up. We want to make sure that we're not exposed to the upside. And the way we can do that is by buying back even further, essentially going outside of our target. In this case, using the expected move to understand where we should be selling and where we should be defining our risk. Now, this is going to be basically the end of this construction, but what I need to do is close or encapsulate those 350 naked calls. And I'm going to choose a particular strike, which happens to be half the distance of 325 and 350. So it's a $25 wide vertical. I need something that's about 12.5 away. The 362.5s will achieve that objective. And I'm going to go ahead and buy two of them. So what have I done? I've opened a vertical. It's a $25 wide vertical at 325, 350. What else have I done? I've sold two 350, 362.5 credit verticals against it. So I'm essentially long at the money. You know, in this case, this would have been at the money. And I'm also short two verticals way out of the money. I'm showing it using a tool in Thinkorswim, James, called ThinkBack. It allows you to change the dates. So this construction is essentially how the earnings probability spread is built. It's very specific in regards to using the expected move to understand how wide the vertical is. And you do have to be directional in this case. You have to choose a direction, or you can put on both. But we'll talk about why putting on both is a little bit of a kind of a non-win at that point. So you need to know the expected move. In this case, I'm only $25, but plus or minus 30, you know, it's close enough. And you don't necessarily have to be perfect with this thing. It's just about the region of price. You also want to sell against it, but you have to define the selling of verticals or the credit verticals at the top end or the out of the money side of the spread. In this case, half the distance of the long vertical. And you have to sell two of them, basically to close everything up. So everything now is risk defined. The verticals, the worst that can happen is that Netflix goes past 362.5. And in that case, this particular spread will start to become worthless. And we'll see that in just a moment as I bring up a risk profile. Can I do it here? I always forget if I can throw this into the risk profile. I can't. Or if I can, it's not easy. So let's see if I can recreate it here. And what we'll do is we'll actually look at this currently. I always forget that I can't throw it in the risk profile ahead of time. So let me make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna have to recreate it. I'm gonna just do a simple one. And this is the same idea. And this is using the current series. So we'll talk about it just in its construction, not in the actual example of earnings. So So what do we notice about this particular strategy? It is in both sides of its construction risk defined, which simply means that if you pay a debit, in the previous example, I didn't really call it out, but it was about $375. So $375 to be long into Netflix's earnings. If Netflix dumps or just doesn't go in that direction at all, the worst that can happen for the most part is the debit. You're going to lose what you pay for the spread. This is fairly normal in option trading because if you're going to buy contracts, it's usually about what you pay, and that's going to be your risk. In the case of a binary event, it has to be sort of an all or nothing because of the directional move. As Netflix reports, if the stock were to go in your favor, what needs to happen is the time sensitivity to this will start to expand. And what you'll notice is in this example, I moved the date up to Friday. This, of course, would have been right after Netflix reported. And therefore, the sensitivity to this particular, it's sort of a butterfly construction, a little bit of a ratio butterfly. That sensitivity would start to expand as well. And what you'll notice in its construction is that there is a zone for which you want the price to land. You want Netflix not only to go higher, but you want it to land in that price region, because as the day goes on, the premium from the verticals that you've sold will start to become worthless. And ideally, if you're anywhere near this mid strike, which in our previous example was 350, that would have been where those verticals are essentially reducing down to zero, but you also have your long call vertical from 325, 350, just using the previous example as our case. Now, what's important here is that, is this something that you can make more than what you pay for? Essentially, does it have a 2-to-1, 3-to-1 potential in the case where you have to get direction right and you need to be somewhere in the right price region? So it can't just be bullish, it has to be bullish with a target. And in this case, the way these are constructed, oftentimes they're going to have anywhere from a 3 to 5-to-1 risk to reward. The most you can make in this, in this example, I'm paying about $2 for what is essentially a $10 wide vertical, 360, 370, but I'm also selling two $5 wide verticals against it. I want those to expire close to worthless. And I also want the 360, 370s to become intrinsic. Essentially, I want to be as close to 370 as possible. And in our previous example, I wanted to be as close to 350. We know that Netflix kind of hit 342 by Friday. Had you put that on maybe a little bit later in the previous or in the following series, that would have given you more time. But really, it's about this sensitivity at expiration. Most of this profitability is going to be realized closer to expiration. And that's where you start to see this convergence of what is essentially the purple line of this risk profile. It'll start to get into the max profitability region of a butterfly. And in this case, it is essentially a butterfly type construction. It's just unbalanced. It's the width of the strikes are different. So what, I guess in summary, what this shows is being in the earnings series has a little bit of restriction as to what you can do as a directional trader. A lot of people argue that one of the best things you can do for earnings is actually be a seller. You want to sell that volatility in some way because for the most part, it's going to be collapsing after the earnings are announced. You also want to look at when are the earnings actually reported? Because in this case, Netflix happened to report on Thursday. So something that is highly sensitive to this sort of premium collapse and the dynamics of the verticals that we have here is going to likely be one of the more opportunistic types of trades, even though it's still a directional bet. And in this case, one thing I also wanted to show is that what happens if you wanted to play both sides? You know, let's say you don't really care which side Netflix goes to. You just want to have a spread on both sides of the fence. So you can do this through essentially making the put side as well. I don't think this supports as many strikes as I would need, but you can imagine here having the same upper premium sort of target, in this case just showing like a 370 as an example, and you can have something equivalent at 350. So you'd imagine this having a similar graph, and it probably collapsed at about 345, just the way it's constructed, along with the fact that if you are hitting one of those targets, you have the same sort of potential. Usually the put side is going to be a little bit more expensive, usually downside skew and just the hedging nature of the market. Puts are often more expensive. So you might have to pay a little bit more for the downside play. But this upper premium is based on how you construct the spread. The reason we're seeing max profitability at approximately $800 is not because we did anything in particular with, like setting that up. It's about the construction. This $10 wide vertical, the most you can make is $10. The $5 wide verticals that you sold, you want those to go to zero. So the highest, the price where everything kind of becomes the most risky and therefore the most profitable is right at 370, and you're paying $2 for it. So that is why the max profit here is right at $800. Should be $799 if I were to absolutely nail 370 by expiration. We obviously wanted to close these before the day is over, and in the case of an earnings spread, it's once again, it's a little bit of a binary event. So it, for the most part, is going to work or it's not going to work. But what I've done is shown how you can reduce the cost basis. Not only are you not paying significant portions of capital to be long or short, but you're also defining your risk if the market goes past these levels. You know, if in the case of a call, you want it to be bullish, but you know expected move is typically where the stock tends to hit. In the case of a vertical, it's a little bit cheaper, but the risk to reward is defined. It's either going to be sort of a doubling roughly, or it's going to go to zero. You know, there really is, rarely is there anything in between unless we kind of fall on a flat earnings, a earnings without any move. In this case, we've brought that cost basis down significantly, but we're still giving us the chance to make anywhere from 2 to 3 times what we pay for, assuming that we close it out right before expiration. And if your risk profile is high, you can simply add more of these into that strategy. You just double up on these numbers, triple up, whatever you're willing to risk is kind of the debit that you pay. So interesting spread. And remember, it's not just for earnings. Think about this dynamic in general. You almost always want to be trying to lower your cost basis as an option trader. This type of construction is sensitive to earnings because of the quick move. But you can do this in general if you have technical targets or some sort of time-related thesis towards a particular price, where things get the most sensitive and extreme at the expiration. So with all that said, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Market. Stay tuned for pre-market prep. Have a wonderful trading session. We'll talk more tomorrow.
I believe you're muted, brother.
There we go. Now I'm better. All right. Let's try this one last time. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to PreMarket Prep. I hope you're having an amazing morning. Hopefully you had an incredible day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning, man. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Can't complain. Much better than yesterday, man. I was dying yesterday. Was not a good day. Had a
I'm
big
glad to hear
headache.
that.
My throat was killing me. So much better today. Um, Yeah, so I didn't pay much attention to some of the stuff that was going on yesterday, but we did have some weird action in the morning, right? Everything seemed to have
It was
halted.
a little.
Yeah, it's a
It
little
was
funky.
strange. Yeah, there was an issue on NYSE with some weird stuff going on. They halted a bunch of tickers, several dozen.
Yeah,
Had to get
yeah,
that worked out, and then they opened back up. But yeah, it caused a little mayhem in the markets.
it
Luckily, nothing
sure
I
did.
happen to be trading. I hope nobody got hurt by it. But
Well, that was my question, right? Like Baba was one of the examples I saw in the afternoon. We're in the chat room here, and this one had a weird action. I wonder if you were stuck in here. How did that play out?
I
Because
mean, I would imagine whether you were, whether it benefit you or hurt you, that it would be wiped out in some way. It
wow,
would have to be, I would
yeah.
think, because they were all erroneous trades. They weren't real things going through the tape, so they probably just, I,
Yeah,
it's just a guess. I could be completely wrong, but it's
'cause
usually how that works.
if you look at Baba here, right, it's hanging out here perfectly fine. Does this drop to 115? It comes right back up to where it was, right? So it's
Yeah.
just very, very interesting. All right, guys, let's get to it. Our gap. I won't go over the stuff from yesterday because again, didn't really watch what was going on. But let's look at our gappers list this morning. We got quite a bit on here in the gap down side of things.
So I just read
Yeah.
something that confirmed that they're gonna nullify those trades. So
Okay.
they weren't real trades. They're not gonna be. They won't hurt you. They won't help you. They just won't exist.
Got it. Okay.
Probably take a few days to work all that out.
Work that out, yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think it's the first time I ever seen something like that. It's very, very wild. So that's good. Glad that they're taking that because these guys can decide not to do that. So it's great that they're actually handling that the right way. All right. So yeah, so gap down looking quite long this morning. A couple of names in here, some that we know very well. Not much on the gap side of things. We do have two that we've seen before, not great traders, especially this AUPH. We've seen that before. And we look into FWBI here. So yeah, guys, the SPY right now, let's get into that and kind of see what the overall market has for us today.
Yeah, so there's no economic data dropping today. SPY, obviously, we've been pushing up toward 400 and rejecting it the last few days after a strong January so far. Curious to see how we'll finish up the month. So, yeah, let's see how we do today. We're in earnings season. We've got some good stuff coming up. We're just really getting to the part of earnings season that's exciting. That first week or so with banks usually isn't too exciting, but it's always, good to at least know that earnings season's on the way. We got Boeing this morning, for example, which wasn't on our list earlier, but now has popped up. They had earnings this morning, Microsoft. So, yeah, let's roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Some really good stuff coming up next week for sure as well. All right, guys, let's get into it. Let's get rid of the stuff we had yesterday. So Control A, Control X does that for us here on the Dash Trader Pro. We'll add some more lines and let's see what's capping up. Let's start there. FWBI this morning. Oh, this is nasty. This is not good. It's up. It was up huge at 680 high of the pre-market. Has come down quite a bit here. I don't like when stocks do this. This is a 828,000 shares float. So very, 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 very low float. And again, it's not fun anymore because you coming back down here so low. It's be very, very careful with this one. This is not a low flow that's in play at the moment, right? We need better than that. Let's look at AUPH. This is the one we've seen this before. Again, not a great trader. Trades horrible. Not a low flow, by the way. It's 129 million. Up 8.6 this morning. They've been on a nice little rally here on the daily the last couple of days. So again, doesn't intraday trade very well, very light volume, so I'm not going to have it on my list. But their daily has been crushing it here the last couple of days.
It's a Canadian biotech. I mean, that in itself kind of keeps me away from it. But that having been said, they had some. They had an announcement yesterday on a lupus treatment. So, I agree. Not a goodie.
Yeah, not good at all. Getting a little gap up this morning, but again, I don't think it's a great one neither. Let's look at Shopify. Shopify making some noise today. They're up 4.8. Look at the volume, 1.2 million. And yesterday, man, look at the sell-off yesterday. No. This is not a sell-off. This is the so I guess this candle is going to be messing up some of our daily here. Some of our dailies are going to be looking funky. So disregard this. Nothing happened yesterday. Pretty much flat. If you take that out of the way, and then here today they're getting some action, getting some movement here. So, again, I don't trade this very well. It is in play today, guys. I'm gonna put it here as a possible. It actually looks really good in the pre-market right now, guys. Got great volume, up 5.2. No, these guys have been seeing some better days lately. Any news today?
I don't see anything that's really sticking out to me that would cause them to be in play, but at least as of this morning. So I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody has something. I've looked in 4 different sources. I see nothing.
Yeah, I agree. Melanie, that's a great comment. Melanie over on YouTube. She's like, I haven't changed my bearish sentiment yet, but doesn't mean I haven't taken any bullish trades when the market tells me to. Perfect. That's exactly what you should be doing. Yeah. So that's perfect. Perfect. Let's look at JAG X here. JAG X. They are not looking great, guys. Up 3.8 right now. Very light volume. Not a low float, but this does not look like it trades very well at the moment. So we're gonna skip on this for now. And here's T. T is very similar to like Verizon and these other telecommunications company. They just don't trade well. So I'm assuming they have earnings. Is that where they're moving? Yeah, earnings pre-market. So only
Yes.
time you're gonna see these guys on here. Other than that, they're not worth watching at all. So not much pulling off from here except Shopify, guys. Shopify does look pretty good pre-market. We'll see what's happening there. RDFN on the leading the way here in the gap down list. These guys are down 6.5. I mean, it's a yeah, I want no part of this. Look at the volume they get on the daily, just
Yeah.
2.7. It's horrible, horrible. So, nothing to see there. Let's move down to Frey. Frey wasn't Frey one that was running up a few weeks ago.
This is terrible, man.
Yeah,
This is the um, EV electrical alternative energy source out of Luxembourg company that trades very poorly generally.
yeah. It's just no volume, guys, at all. If you look at the daily here, 2.4 or less looks like. I mean, just nothing happening. Let's take a look at run today. No, nothing happening here. No volume, barely getting above 100,000. Again, nothing great there. Let's look at snow. Man, these tickers are pretty bad this morning. Snow
So
is another
far.
one. Yeah, so far. Snow is another one that doesn't trade very well, guys. So again, not a fan of that. Moving on down to SQ. All right, let's see if SQ could bring us some stuff here. SQ down 4%, 140,000 shares traded so far. Daily looks interesting, but SQ, I mean, the volume on SQ has really dropped from what it used to be. It doesn't trade the type of volume that it used to before. So I'm not a big fan of it. They're down 4.4 today, but I think we'll find something better. Even if we have to wait for the market open to give us opportunities, I don't think SQ is it right now. Not for the way we trade.
And they got a downgrade out of Oppenheimer. Perform from outperform. I don't see a price target.
Yeah. So here we have knee. Knee is down 4.1. Also another one with very light volume. And the pre-market is just not looking great at the moment. These tickers, again, just not great so far. There's a ton down here though, so we'll see if we can find something that looks good. Snow trades predictably. Yeah, maybe. If you watch it enough, you can probably, predict what it's going to do, right? But for the way we're trading, it's not going to be a good one for today. At least that now. Here's A firm. A firm is down. A firm is down 4.3, 134,000. They're daily very clean, but again, they're not a great intraday trader. But I like this drop they're getting here. So I'm not sure if they have anything going on. Could be interesting today. Could be. I like how clean the daily is, which does help. If things are going to be moving down here, maybe a possible, but I highly doubt this is going to stay here after we go through a couple of names that we really like. Um, and then we have Amazon. I'll do Amazon next, and then I'll get to what you guys have because this list is massive. Looks like it's going to get better towards the bottom, but I do see a couple of usual suspects, which I'll let you guys throw out. So we'll do Amazon, which is right here next, and then we'll hand it over to you guys and see.
We need to pick through the rest of the list at least.
Yeah. Do you want to pick through the rest of this year? The one that's coming?
Yeah, as we go down, we need to pick through
Gets
it.
better. Yeah, exactly. Amazon looks very nice. I like Amazon.
Yeah,
right
so
now.
Amazon's gapping down. This is in sympathy of Microsoft. Microsoft had earnings last night. It's taking a hit. You'll see them down the list just a little
Yeah.
bit more. Big concern here is on the Azure cloud business, which Amazon is an industry leader in with their AWS. So they're getting hit on concern over the Azure cloud stuff from Microsoft.
Yeah. So here, it had earnings yesterday, right? Microsoft.
Yeah,
So
Microsoft did.
Yep. So both of them guys in play today. See, Microsoft today looks really good. Definitely like this one. I'll have this on my main list today. On other days, it's just moving with the overall market, and usually we got better things are doing better trading. So yeah, Microsoft looks good. Let's go down and pick through this list. What else is good on here? Let's take a look at Tesla, of course. and we'd like to see what BA and AMD are doing. So we'll do Tesla here, and yeah, Tesla, very, very nice. We'll add that to the list. 2.6, which is actually lighter volume than what we've seen the last couple of days, maybe because anticipation of earnings today. We'll see how that goes. And then we have AMD. AMD this morning, not doing a whole lot. Just 328,000. So not much going on there as far as volume. All right, let's take a look at Norm. Anything you like on your end that we haven't talked about?
BA, further down the list, they had earnings. They're getting they're down 2.5% on their earnings release this morning. So that one's for sure something that should be interesting today.
Yeah, I like BA because they can trade very well. Actually, we don't have enough. I might move this up. BA can trade very well on earnings. We've seen that over and over again. And don't put too much weight on the pre-market action, guys, because they tend not to have the best pre-market action.
Yeah, it's
but at the
real
market
nasty
open,
to trade pre-market
yeah,
in general
yeah,
on BA. I mean, they're even though they have decent volume, 700,000 shares. If you look, and it's not too terrible right now, 14-cent spread, $200 stock, not unreal, but I've seen it over 50, 75 cents this morning. So it'll trade well once the market opens, would be my guess.
yeah, yeah. Could not agree more. All right, guys, let's see what you guys have on your end. So let's start here with Jimmy. Jimmy, you're giving us a few. Usual suspect, Apple. We'll take a look at that. Yeah, Apple in play today. I think just overall movement looks really good. They got some decent volume. We've seen better, but decent. So Apple is good. AMD, I have us. I looked at. I'm gonna have AMD as a secondary, not the main list right now. Doesn't look great. I think Apple looks much better for sure. And uh, we'll see. We have Tesla already, and Google. They have earnings next week. They've been making
Trade's
some
so
noise.
bad.
Yeah, it trades so bad. They've been making some noise lately when they gapped up here, and they were okay. But usually when they trade well, other things are trading much, much better. So I prefer to watch that. It will be fun to see what earnings brings for Google and Apple next week. I think it's Thursday. Thursday's going to be a big day for tech next week, so that'll be exciting to see. But again, I'd rather watch something else opposed to Google. Amazon is good. We have that on deck. Nvidia. Let's take a look at Nvidia here. Yeah, actually, Nvidia very, very similar to AMD. So I'm going to put it next to AMD here. Both of these are really good. Our usual suspects, part of our list there. So we'll see how it looks in a couple of minutes from now. COSM, I feel like we looked at that, not today, but in the past, and it doesn't trade well. And yeah, I'm right. This thing is not a great trader, guys. Be careful. Lower price. What's the float on this, by the way? COSM. The price on this thing is not the price, sorry,
Spread
the
seven and a
float.
half million.
Yeah, the
Or
float's
float. God, we're
horrible.
both.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I s-
You
so not
confused me. I confused you.
not good.
Seven and
Not
a
good at
half. Yeah.
yeah, run. So yeah, not good. Microsoft is good. We have that on deck. Anything else, guys? I think BA earnings, that's good. That's on deck as well. Peppo, thank you. Um I think we're good. You have Meta on your list. Let's take a look. Meta, was it yesterday? We looked at Meta. It was actually has a great daily. Meta's been cranking here, guys. So hit 145 yesterday. Looks like not doing a whole lot today, but I see where you have it on your list. After the bell, you might get some plays. It has been trading pretty decent as far as the daily goes, right? So look at this here. It's been doing very well. Broke out of this, has a nice continuation towards the top. Already covered this, been covered this gap down that we had here. So they covered the gap already, and it's running above it. So pretty nice. Meta's doing well here. Looking forward to their earnings as well. That should be interesting as well. All right, guys. I think we have a pretty good list. This is a great list for right now. Amazon looks very nice. Microsoft also two of my favorites today. These two are looking excellent pre-market. Tesla will be interesting as well today. Already dropping some here. We'll see how this trades into earnings. Usually, we don't like stocks for the same day they're going to be reporting earnings. They trade very funky. Tesla's going to be it's a different type of animal. I think Tesla even today with earnings coming up, will still be in play. This is it's a whole different type of ballgame when it comes to Tesla. I like BA. Love the pre-market action I'm seeing there. Like the daily as well. And Apple getting a little bit of a drop. Is a SPY heading south on us? Yes, it is. SPY heading south, dragging some of these stocks with it. So yeah, setting up to be a good day so far, pre-market wise. Let's see if that can translate to the market open. All right, guys, let's get over to community events and announcements. We'll come back and fine tune this list or add to it if we need to. But right now, I'm happy with this list.
Every Monday night, onboarding technology with Carlos, 8 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to tune in for that, especially if you're a newer trader. Tuesdays, we save for strategy. Last night, we had Paris talking about reading the tape. Huge turnout for that webinar. So that should be posted. Recording of it should be posted soon if you were unable to make it live. But congrats, Paris, on your first webinar being a success. Megan, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, talking about optimizing goals for your performance and reaching your trading goals. I know that says 5 p.m. needs to be corrected. Randy Howell going to be talking about keeping your emotions under control when money is real. And then next week, Dr. Kenneth Reed, 8 p.m. Eastern, talking about Best Loser Wins. That is a book from a trader out of Denmark. So check that out. Thursday, we've got mentoring. It's at 11 a.m. with John and 8 p.m. with Thor. TradingTerminal.com. Somebody just asked me what's a good place to check for news. Go to TradingTerminal.com. You can get news. You can get scanners. You can get replay simulator, all kinds of stuff there. Tools that we're putting together that traders pay thousands of dollars a year for. You can get it all for free. So check that out. Also, our new insider page that we can discuss in a little bit, Carlos, but some really cool tools there for people. So we'll chat about that after you get finished with levels. And then the San Diego 2-day trading event, March 2nd, March 3rd. Can you go to the homepage, Carlos, and pull that up, please?
Yep. Give me a second. Bring that up here.
March 2nd and 3rd, San Diego event. Sorry for the slight delay. Yep, right there, Live Trading Summit. You can reach it from the homepage or bearbulltraders.com/workshop. It's 2 days. You've got a couple of, you've got some testimonials on this page from Florida, which we had an amazing time there. Got a couple of special guests. Our full schedule is there. You can click on either day, the 2nd or the 3rd, to see what all we've got going on. Dinner that night. You can bring your family, even if they're not into trading. There's a place to add the extra ticket just to pay for their dinner. And yeah, there we go. So be sure to check that out, guys. Looking forward to it. If you're watching on YouTube, you haven't been in the room, use the promo code PreMarket34. You'll get a discount off the intro membership. That is 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. It is a one-time payment, does not recur. Also, if you'd like to become an elite member, use the promo code WINTER50 to get half off the elite annual membership.
All right, excellent. All right, guys, let's get to it here. Let's go ahead and set up some levels and see what we got going on. So right now, at the moment, I have Amazon, I have Microsoft, I have Tesla, BA, and Apple. I like that BA is not completely selling off here, trying to hold. Everything else is heading south, so that's good. It's a good sign for BA there. It's kind of wants to do its own thing there, which is great. All right, let's do some levels here. Let's start with Amazon. So Amazon right now, I love the daily on here, getting a nice drop at the moment. This low of the pre-market is going to be interesting. So it's going to be over at 92.86. So if we slam a level there and we look across the board, you can see some areas of good support and resistance. So that's definitely an area you want to have marked down. A lot of touches happening there. So 92.88, getting a little bit of a bounce here. If the market continues to drop, obviously it's going to blow right through that. And the next level we have on the daily that looks very significant. It's going to be this 90.64. Is where you have a lot of touches on as well. Now, there is something in between here that I would like to mark. I think will be important, especially because you're so far down from the next daily level. That's significant. That's going to be 91.60. Is 91 like 60, 91.50. So 91.50. You can see here a couple of days bouncing off of that, using that as support. Some days opening and closing around that area. So that's good as well on the daily. So pretty good towards the bottom there. Towards the top, you have a couple of days opening, closing right around 94.70. So if you slam a level there, you can see a couple of days doing that. Pre-market is a little bit higher than that, but if you see how that 94.70, you can see there's definitely some touches happening here that is worth noting if this thing is gonna head back into the other direction. We'll mark down the high of the pre-market as well. It's gonna be over at 91, 95.13. So we'll mark that there. And then towards the top, guys, you got plenty highs and lows for the last 2 trading days. Do not need to add anything else there. So looking good right now in the daily. Dropping down based on the reportings from Amazon, kind of like a sympathy play that's affecting them on their cloud service. As Norm mentioned, 234.30 is the low of the pre-market for Microsoft. We also have a level over at 230.50. And then towards the bottom here, we got a couple 226.87. And we also have here 222.08. So plenty of stuff towards the bottom, towards the top, highs and
Sitting
lows.
right at a big level right now, isn't it? From all that
Yeah.
stuff in December.
Yeah. So it's trying to hold right on there, and we'll see if it can do that. But again, looking really weak, guys. 3.1 right now, down. Great volume on Microsoft. This is one of the best pre-market activities I've seen on Microsoft in a very, very long time. So
I agree with you. Not my
this
favorite
is
ticker to trade.
not my favorite neither, but today definitely looking nice. Here is Tesla. So Tesla 2.9, almost 3 million shares traded. You got tons of volume here, guys. Low of the pre-market 140.75. Towards the bottom, you do have your low from 2 days ago. So we'll leave that there. And then we have a slight level, not the best level, 136.63. It is not one of these big levels like 125.57, where you just got a ton of action, right? As far as touches, right? Support, resistance, support. You don't have that here, but definitely there are a couple of days opening, closing on that 136.64 that might be interesting. Once you put these two levels towards the bottom, I think you're pretty much set. And then towards the top, I'm just going to mark down the high of the pre-market, which is all the way at 142. And once you do that, above here, you do have your highs and lows as well towards that 145. So interesting day for Tesla today, guys, man. Earnings after hours. That's going to be fun. Cannot wait to see how the reaction is going to be. All I know is it's going to be explosive. Tesla always is. Here it is. BA, tons of volume this morning. Low of the pre-market sitting at 201.63. So slamming level there, and then below that, just in case we get going, we do have a 195 all the way down here. Do we have anything before that? In between that? Not recently. 195.38 is what we have. Yeah, so 195.38 below that 201, and I would like something in between there in case we do drop. So hold on, let me go back here. February, March. Let's dive in here, and we actually do have a decent level here. A lot of days opening, closing right around 198. So if you see that there, got a lot of action happening there. So let's mark that down just to have something midway towards the bottom here. Towards the top, I think the only thing you really need is the high of the pre-market. That is where BA has seen a lot of resistance, right? If you look across the board here, 213, a lot of resistance happening there. Has not been able to get above that since January. All January looks like. And that's your high of your pre-market today. So it's an interesting spot. It can go from anywhere here, guys. It can go back up and retest this highs. It can come back down and retest the lows. It's in a very good spot, right in the middle of their morning range today. So let's see what the market open does for BA. Here is Apple again, just following overall market right now. You got some big guys dropping here. Obviously, Tesla, Microsoft, and Amazon leading the way there, down both 3.2, 3.5. So they're taking the bigger hit this morning. Apple only down 1.2. Decent volume. Low of the pre-market 140.75. And once we slam that level there towards the bottom, what do we have here? We don't have any significant level in here, right? If you look at it on the daily, as far as that goes, it seems to avoid this area. Only thing I find here is 139.41. And don't put too much weight on that level, right? It's not a big level like you have here, like this 140, 143, right? That's a very significant level of resistance. So not too much weight on that one. And then towards the bottom, in case we do, we're not going to drop here, but just in case, 135, a good area there as well. Tons of stuff happening there. All right, so we have Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, BA, and Apple. Not a bad list. Not a bad list. Looking good so far right now. All right, we are all set there, guys. If you guys have anything else, any questions, we can go through that, or any tickers that are doing their own thing like BA is, that, throw them out there. We can take a look at them. Are you going long or short Amazon, Apple, BA, or Tesla? We don't know. We don't know until the market open, at least for me.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Stuff can go either way here. We're looking a little weak this morning, right? Especially with Amazon and Microsoft. But when you start getting these big moves in the pre-market, don't be surprised if if we get a nice little pop here at the start of the day and then continue downwards, right? So we just have to read the price action when the bell rings and see what the market is giving us, right? So we will definitely see. Uh, Carlos, what's in your bits on IG? Are these available anywhere? My what do you mean the videos
You're
on
sh-
Instagram?
I think so.
Um, see, I try to put them on YouTube. The problem with YouTube is they only give you 60 seconds. I mean, it's only so much you can slam into 60 seconds, right? Instagram gives you a minute and a half. So it's very, very tough to put them on YouTube. I would prefer putting them on YouTube, but 60 seconds, man, it's you start recording and you're done. So um let's see here. What else, guys? What else you guys like this morning? I see Peter has his list already. AMD, BA, Amazon, Tesla secondary, TSN. TSN is Texas Instrument, or do I have that right
Yes.
or no? It is. They had earnings, I think, right?
They're generally the first semiconductor that reports earnings. That having been said, man, they trade bad.
Yeah. They're definitely not a great trade. You can see here the volume very, very light.
But
So
they usually give some good sympathy plays for the other semiconductors that trade better. So
yeah. Did we look at Nvidia? Yeah, we did look at Nvidia. So Nvidia is good today. You can add that to your list. I have both AMD and Nvidia, both pretty much doing the same thing right now. I'll move one of these up, depending how it goes in a few here. Baba, what did Baba end up doing? Oh yeah, we saw it. It went flat yesterday, right? Again, we're gonna have to remember this day here, guys. January 24 when we're doing levels, and just annihilate this action because that did not happen. So,
hopefully
um,
DAS will come back and fix that or something
yeah,
takes place because that's too long of a.
it's
I mean, if it sticks around for very long, that could be a pain.
it can be a pain, especially on something. What we looked at was in Shopify Neo. Look at Neo. I'm sure there's other ones, right? I mean, look at this. So hopefully they're able to fix that so they don't mess up our daily here. So Babo was pretty much flat yesterday, and I'm sure a lot of things were flat after something like this because who wants to, trade after seeing something like that? I mean, I'll definitely be very, very cautious. Um, but yeah, not much going on for Baba right now, guys. I don't see anything explosive on it. Volume is extremely light too, only 113,000. We've seen better in the pre-market. Let me remove these levels. It looks very crowded. There it is. So without looking at this candle, they're doing well. They're holding this level of support here. So interesting. If they can lose that and get some volume, it could be fun. But right now, not doing a whole lot. BA's on deck, yeah. BA's definitely in play. Yeah, they're doing their own thing, which I like here. And, they're not following the entire market at the moment. So yeah, BA is good. Do you know how the earnings were, Norm? Did you get a chance to dive in? I know it just happened this morning.
On
Were they
which one?
positive on BA? How was
Oh
their
no,
guidance?
no, they had a pretty wide loss, EPS wise, that wasn't expected, and their revenues came in short.
Mm,
They're getting hit on that, but they did mention some what was it, 737 production stuff as well. So we'll see how it plays out. The thing about the, I'm a little biased on the short side considering their miss here. Um, the fact that this thing has run so much recently.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, this ticker was down. Um, what it was 100 and in
120.
120 bucks, and
Yeah,
it's up. A huge percentage just since October. So
yeah, yeah. It's been a big, big run here for them. That's for
now
sure.
the headline EPS is $1.75 loss versus the expected profit of a nickel. So I have not dug into their earnings. I generally don't unless I'm holding something longer term. But to
Hmm.
me, that screams, considering they're only down a couple percent, that screams that that's kind of there's maybe a one-time charge in there that is making those numbers a little funky, not a real deal. And if you take that out, then so
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I like BA, like BA today. Either way, guys, long or short, whatever decides to do, I think it's going to be a in play for sure. Spotify going strong. Yes, Spotify. I have it on my secondary list. I'm not a big fan, but they're crushing this morning somehow. I mean, they were in the red here, down to 41, up to 45 now, and still going strong. Looks like getting a little bit toppy as you see, kind of like the curvage coming in here. So, um, we'll see. 1.7 is great, great volume. How's the spread? Spread is not bad for pre-market. Usually I'm concerned with their spread. It's gotten better since they were, their price has been lower than what was like 300 something, whatever it was. So it's better, but their price action still is very crappy at times. So that's my concern with this. But today could be a day where we can see a different type of Shopify in action. So that'll be that's a tight
It's
possible
a
for
good
me.
chart right now. It's
Yeah,
about the best I've ever seen it trade, frankly.
yeah, yeah, yep. I agree. Um, SNOA. I feel like we've seen this before.
No,
Yeah,
it's
but
penny
no,
stock stuff.
yeah. Sonoma Pharmaceutical. So yeah, not fun, and it's getting ugly here too, guys. You know who had a great pre-market action yesterday? Penny stock. What was it? BRXR. No, I got it wrong, but it has those letters in some order because Brian had this on this list. BXRX. There we
Yes,
go.
that would be it.
Yeah. So horrible after the market opened, but pre-market, this is kind of what you want to see. Right? You got this, got tons of volume, and you had this like ABCD pattern forming after ABCD pattern. Did horrible at the market open. As you can see here, it kind of crashed down, but you want to see something like this, right? For these lower flow stocks with volume. Um, so this one that we're looking at now is just concerning because it's kind of sloping downward. So just be careful with that. We had also
You to
WBI.
you?
Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
No, I'm just messing with you.
No. FWBI. This you see, this is not looking good. Not a good chart for a low flow at all. Even with the volume, just looks horrible. So be careful. Um, I feel I trade random letters sometimes. They're from Connecticut. Um, W could be very weak today. Probably a good sleeper. Let's take a look at W. Can W be our sleeper today? They had a insane run, right? They had this gap up a couple of days ago, and did they get hit with the NYSE stock issue here? Is that what their charts is messed up? But yeah, man, they had this crazy run here. They still not a great intraday trading stock, so I stay away from them. But I gotta say, this could be a nice short if they do decide to come back to reality here. So be on the lookout for it. Spread is not bad right now. Just be on the lookout for that. It can get pretty nasty. Um, yeah, if they can't hold this here.
You mean it's not nasty? It's 45 cents.
Oh, yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, see, it was like 5 cents, 8 cents earlier, and now it's flipped. Yeah, yep. So careful with that. Um, and this sell off here actually is not messed up by the New York Stock Exchange thing that happened yesterday. So this is an actual daily. That's the interesting candle there, man, slamming down like that, and now you're below 54. Um, could be fun. Let's add this to our secondary list for the sleeper. I agree with you. Who said that? This was Stefan. Yeah, W could be the sleeper for today. I'm with you. I'm on board. Um, did we go over Apple? Yeah, we did. We went over Apple. We did some levels on this thing. If you missed it, we have 139.41, and then we have the low at 140.75. And then outside of that, pretty much your highs and lows for the last two traders are doing a pretty good job there. I didn't do a level above this high of the pre-market, but let's do that. I'm sorry, the highs and lows of the last two trading days. Let's do that just in case we do come back here because anything is possible. So we're looking at 145. That seems to be a good area with a lot of touches on there as far as levels, right? You have that here and here as well. So we got something towards the top in case we do decide to run today, which is, anything can happen. Um, PACB just made the cut. PACB. Oh, no. Looks looks shady, man. It's down 2.3.
Which one?
PACB, Pacific Bioscience. Yeah, doesn't look good. Uh, flow is
Hmm.
massive, so yeah, not really in play. Where shop is up? Well, that's what we're trying to figure out. We didn't see any major news, right, Norm, on Shopify. So I don't know what's causing this, but they've been running up for a couple of days here. Has some pretty big moves. Gap up just 2 days ago, and don't mind this. This is the IC mess up. So yeah, they've been pretty strong. Up 5.8. Oh, did they use the magic word of layoffs? Yeah, if you use the magic word layoff, now that's hot now. That's if you put that in any type of reports, you're popping, man. Amazon, Google, they're all using it. That's the word now. That's what's hot.
I just had visions of Paris Hilton in like early 2000s or whatever popping in my head. That's hot.
That's hot. Oh man, throwback. But yeah, this is what's going on. There it is. Somebody had the meme
There you
on deck.
go.
That was pretty fast, Jonathan. You had that
Yeah,
on deck ready to go.
yeah, that's scary.
Oh man. Um, all right, excellent. Guys, we're set. Let's get to our moderators list. Let's see what everybody has together here. I see a couple of moderators with their lists already, and we'll see what our team is watching here. Brent, I don't like the way these telecommunications companies trade.
Yeah,
AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, right? T-Mobile, whatever.
TMOB, yeah,
Yeah,
in the U.S., TMOS.
yeah. They're brutal, man. They're brutal. They don't trade well. Um, let's look at Verizon yesterday. What did it do? VZ. Let's take a look yesterday. So, um,
Well, it had the garbage at the start,
yeah. See that?
so you can forget about that. And then if
Yeah,
you zoom out so that drops off your screen, you'll at least get a better idea.
yeah. So this is it here. It's just the
Uh,
volume, man. The volume is so light. It's a 5 minute, by the way. It's just, yeah. Not a fan of this. Um, so yeah, I tend to stay away from those. Even on earnings, they just don't trade well. All right, good. Let's go ahead and disable our video here. Bring our moderators list. See what's happening there. And
While you're doing that, they're being asked when Paris's webinar will be uploaded. Should be uploaded at some point this morning, I would imagine.
oh no,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
last night. They're generally posted within 24 hours, unless there's some kind of problem. I don't foresee that.
No, no. I checked it this morning. I have it on my Google Drive. It'll be sent over right after this. So yeah, that's good to go. Really, really amazing webinar. So recording should be up
Raf
by
is asking why we
10:30.
don't put our watch lists in the watch list thing. I used to, Raf. I mean, you've been here long enough. I think that you probably saw me. I used to,
Yeah,
but usually it's the same tickers everybody else has.
yeah.
We've
It's pretty
discussed what
close.
we like and don't like all morning, so that's
Yeah,
the only reason. I try not to junk up the posts the up above and cloud it up with just repeated information. And we've spent 45 minutes discussing what we like and don't like. Those are the two reasons. I'm happy to do it if you guys want me to.
yeah, yeah. Just it's no problem throwing copy and pasting that in there if you guys want it. Um, All right, let's see what we have going on here. Let's take a look at our teams list for the most part. Guys, if you haven't done so already, over on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it very, very much. It does help out the channel. Sitting at 160, we'd love to get 40 more and be over 200. That will be very, very nice. So thank you for that. As we try to grow our channel here on YouTube, we appreciate it. All right, let's take a look here. We have starting with Thor. Well, starting with Eamon, but Eamon doesn't like anything for his breakout strategy today. So far, looking clean there. Thor's looking at the overall market cues and the SPY, Microsoft, Tesla, NBA. We have Megan looking at Tesla, SPY, AMD. Mike will be looking at BA, Amazon, and Tesla. IPOs for today, QSG being scheduled for today. And then Peter's going to have AMD, BA, Amazon, Tesla, TSN, NVIDIA, those last three on his secondary list. Oh, he updated his list. So now we have AMD, BA, Amazon. What's the change? Oh, he switched Microsoft for NVIDIA. Okay, so there's the update there. And then Susan, she'll be looking at AMD, Apple, NVIDIA, secondary list, Meta, Netflix, NBA, and Jai will be looking at Microsoft, Amazon, NVIDIA, and Tesla for a daily pullback on their PDL. So there you have it, my friends. We'll give our main guy here, Brian, taking us
And
to the
since
market open. Yeah.
Since they ask, I'll
Yeah.
throw out what I'm watching. Tesla, Meta, BA, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple's on there, but it'll probably come off. Shopify, and NVIDIA.
Yeah.
So it's just rehashing what everybody else has said.
Yep, it's on there. Here's my list, guys. Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, BA, and Apple. And I'm with you. I think Shopify today, man, it's looking
It's
real,
an
real
outlier.
nice.
Yeah. It's a little cringe to put it on there for me, but
yes.
maybe it works out today. I don't know.
Yeah. Today, if there's going to be a day, today seems to be setting up nicely for it. So, all right, wait for Brian to throw out his list, and then we'll hand it over to Brian to kind of get prepared for the market open. Guys, over on YouTube, if you want to trade with us all day, you can. You can actually get an intro membership, join the chat room for 7 days, see what the environment is like. It's pretty cool. And then you get to also join me and Mike on Monday for an onboarding class and kind of give you an introduction to what the community is like, get a feel for what we do here. And you could do that with it's a PreMarket 34 is the code that you can use. So $34 gets you in for that 7 day, which is, again, it's pretty good. $34, 7 days. Can't beat that.
It doesn't charge you again. It's
Yeah.
only one time.
I hate that thing, man. I get caught sometimes on that. Especially Apple Pay does a good job of doing that. The free trial for this app for like 7 days. I did one with my kid, and I forgot to do it. And next, you know, I have this charge for an annual fee of $195. I'm like, what the heck is this? What is this? And
we don't do that.
So, the companies are pretty good though. When you email them the same day, it's like, hey, listen, man, I missed this. They're pretty good at giving you the money back. So I haven't had one yet that said
it's probably in their TOS. I would imagine with Apple, but anyway, we're
so
dragging over now.
Oh yeah. Here's Brian, guys. Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, and Nvidia. So very tight list for Brian. No for fun trades today, but that is his list there. Guys, over on YouTube, thank you so much. 202 likes. Appreciate that very, very much. We will see you guys again. Tomorrow is Thursday, so Jared is here. Thursday, right? No. Yes, Thursday. So Jared, 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, engineering the markets. Then Norm and I, 8:30. Take care, guys. Trade safe, and we will see you then.
Take care, guys. Trade safe.